Once again, just want to thank everybody for being here. Excited about this Sunday, the Great American Bash, July 30th, at the HEB Center in Cedar Park, Texas, right outside of Austin. And of course, for all of you abroad, it'll be streaming on Peacock as well. Also, I guess I would like to add that we're also excited. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, was nice enough to do our intro for Great American Bash this Sunday, so we're all excited about that. I just want to talk about again the momentum I feel that NXT has had as of late. Since Gold Rush, we've been just in a wonderful groove. Certainly, but this quarter ratings are up, 22%. And again, we're just excited. We feel like we've got real momentum. We feel like the synergy with main roster is going well. Everybody here excited in NXT clearly about this weekend, Great American Bash, but also want to announce the fact that NXT is going to be going back on the road again. Very excited to announce Saturday, September 30th, we are going to bring to Bakersfield, California, the No Mercy premium live event from NXT. It'll be at the Mechanics Bank Arena out there in Bakersfield. Very excited to announce that. No Mercy coming back with NXT. And now just want to say thank you all again for helping us out here like you always do. And if you want to get to questions, let's do it.
Thanks, Shawn. We'll now open it up to questions. We kindly ask that you limit to one question each, and we'll get through as many as we can in the time allotted. If you do have a question, please use the raised hand function within Zoom. And we will take our first question with Steve Hall. Steve Hall.
What's going on, Shawn? Thanks for doing this. Great American Bash. Super excited for this. But do you attribute the ratings going up for NXT involving main roster talent? And who from the main roster would you like to see NXT as well?
Well, certainly the synergy is a benefit to us. That's always going to be a benefit. But I will say, I also think that, again, after the last year and a half, I think of having regular, not just main roster superstars, but developing and getting over our NXT superstars, I think has made a big difference. Again, I think we had some growing pains early on, but I think now people understand, they're invested in a great deal of the NXT characters. But look, as well as I do, I'd be lying if having the synergy with the main roster is not a plus for us. It's huge, obviously, and everybody knows that in the developmental system, and anybody who wants to get better in this line of work, the best thing you can do is to be in the ring with people better than you. And that's something that we've been fortunate to have here lately in NXT. So I think there's a lot of different reasons, for the ratings. But look, I'll take whatever we can get, man. We're just excited that we got good momentum, and everybody's really excited about Great American Bash because the card is stacked and it's going to be fantastic. And I guess to answer your question as far as who else we would like to have down here, I got to be honest. You know what I mean? We are thrilled to get what we do get. But look, I'd love to have Brawling Brutes down here. Wouldn't mind Imperium. Look, I'd love to have Sammy and Kevin down here. Anybody who's willing to come down here and help us out on the main roster. Let's put it this way: I don't think we'd be turning a lot of people down.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Rick Ucchino. Rick.
Can you hear me? Check 1, 2.
Yes, sir. There you are.
All right, perfect. That was an issue the last time. Thank you, Shawn. I appreciate the time. Wanted to ask you about Roxanne Perez because I got an article on her coming out tomorrow. She comes into NXT with a nickname like the Prodigy. That's going to carry some lofty expectations. How have you assessed how she's done over the last year or so in NXT, and what are you looking forward to, or what would you want to see out of this new side that she's promising to show of herself this weekend?
Well, first, initially, again, I think she's done fantastic here in NXT. But like you said, you stick your name starting with the prodigy, and it is you set lofty expectations. But in my opinion, she's lived up to them. Again, she's a very young lady, and again, she's already had fantastic success here in NXT. And look, sometimes that's tough, right? You have so much success early. How do you follow that? But again, I think that one of the things she's learning here is to evolve and expound on who she is and who the character and who the superstar that Roxanne Perez wants to be overall in the future. Again, more often than not, people's time in this business and time in the WWE is going to be spent more not being a champion than being a champion. So I think that's one of the things that she is finding now is who is Roxanne Perez away from a championship, away from a title. And she's being pushed, again, lately by Blair Davenport to show another side of herself. But that's something, again, that all of us learn over time in this business is to evolve and to have different layers to our character. And I think it's a great learning tool on one hand for Roxanne Perez, the individual and the athlete, but also as the WWE superstar. She might as well learn it here now in NXT, because as I stated, you're going to spend probably more of your career without a championship, defining yourself as champion, than you are, without it. So again, I think she's finding that out. I think we are going to see a new side of her. I know she's going to want to turn it on for her family and friends in Texas. So that's going to be a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Nims Azor. Nims.
Thanks so much for taking the time, Shawn. I want to quickly talk about the Women's Championship match that's happening. It's been a couple of months since Tiffany Stratton won the NXT Women's Championship. She defends it against Thea Hale at the Great American Bash. But I want to talk about Thea and Chase U, because we've seen quite a rise from the trio. Andre Chase and Duke Hudson have also been standouts, and the three of them have gained a lot of support from the NXT universe, probably since about Stand and Deliver. And while a lot of the focus now is actually on Thea and what she's doing, do you see Andre and Duke in the mix to target some championships in the future?
Absolutely. Look, I think Chase U as a whole, I think that's one of the great success stories of NXT. I think they started off as a group that might have just been something that was fun, enjoyable, but almost like a lower card stable, so to speak. But they have just turned into something incredibly special. And as you say, one of our most popular, stables in all of, I think, well, maybe not WWE, but certainly in NXT. And they've just continued to rise, continued to get better. But yeah, so I think both Duke and Chase, whether it be in a tag team or in a singles area, I think are going to, have nothing but more success in their future. That's the great thing about them being such a cohesive unit, is that they can darn near do just about anything. You've got two individual superstars in Duke and Chase, but they're also a fantastic tag team. So right now, the focus is just on Thea Hale, obviously, taking on Tiffany Stratton for the NXT Championship this weekend at Great American Bash. But I have no doubt that we're going to see a lot more of Chase University as a whole in the future here in NXT.
Appreciate it, John. All the best for the bash.
Thank you very much.
Our next question comes from Ella J. Ella.
Hi, Shawn. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you.
On the topic of Thea Hale, we have the potential to see the youngest ever NXT Women's Champion potentially coming out of Great American Bash. So I'm kind of curious on that same wavelength. Can you kind of talk about the progress and growth that Thea has had since joining in NXT?
Yeah, well, so here I just had a birthday, my 58th birthday, and here she is just a couple of years out of high school. And so Thea is one of, again, she's one of the many reasons I love working here. Thea is just such a wonderful story. And the young lady that we see every Tuesday night on the USA Network on NXT is who she is. She's a fabulous, hungry, passionate, unbelievably excited young lady all the time. And again, she's just a sheer joy to be around. She's a sheer joy to have as, an NXT superstar. She graduated high school just a couple years ago. She's still so very young. She's done so much for us already and continues to climb. You know what I mean? Chase U continues to get more popular and more popular. Thea does as well. And it's nothing short of astounding. Again, what she's done. Again, and as we were talking about earlier, Roxanne Perez too. We have so much youth in our women's division. It's staggering. And again, our champion, I think, is at the ripe old age of 24 years old. So it is just, again, you have to understand how huge that is for the future of the WWE and certainly the women's division. I am so proud of our young ladies here in NXT. Thea, obviously, at the top of that, at the top of that mountain right now. And again, she could win the NXT championship and still not allowed to go have a beer afterwards. So that is, again, I just think is amazing. But we're so excited about that submission match that the ladies are going to have this Sunday, and certainly looking forward to it. Win, lose, or draw, Thea Hale is always going to be Thea Hale, and we wouldn't want her to change for anything in the world.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Our next question comes from Shawn Rossap. Shawn.
Hi, Shawn. We haven't seen Wendy Chu in a while. Do you have a status update on her or how she's doing?
Still coming along, still rehabbing her injuries. And again, hopefully, she will be back soon. But no, it's one of those things that I will say we're very good, as is our talent, very good about making sure that they are 100% ready to go. But she is still, again, my understanding is everything is progressing well, but she's still a ways off before she's going to be seeing action.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Our next question comes from Maddie Paddock. Maddie.
Hi, Shawn.
Hello there.
I wanted just to get some comments from you on Dominic Mysterio, if possible, if I could, because we've seen over the years with NXT established main roster talents who've come through that NXT route, come back and really give in terms of their presence and kind of their feel back in kind of NXT. Now, Dom is obviously a different kind of prospect in the sense that he's almost kind of working in reverse, really. He's come and done fantastic things on kind of across Raw and SmackDown, one of the hottest prospects in WWE right now. I just wondered what kind of his energy was like in NXT at the moment, because obviously what he might have in talent, he doesn't necessarily have in those years of in-ring experience, really. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that contrast.
Yeah, well, look, it is, as you say, it's an interesting situation for him. Again, he was literally thrown into the deep end pretty quickly. And I'll say this. Yes, he's been around this line of work, his entire life. So that much I think he was used to, the environment. But look, once you get out there and you are filling the shoes that he's trying to fill, it's a pretty daunting task. And there's almost no way for people to live up, to the legacies of their fathers. Some do, but it's very rough. It's very tough I'll be honest, on any child of a WWE superstar. I get reminded for mine every now and then, and they're not even in the public eye. Like, hey, dude, it ain't easy being your kid. So I can't imagine what it's like to also go out there and have to perform in front of the WWE universe. Trying to fill your father's shoes. Dom has done a wonderful job at that. But as you stated, he's had to do it on the big stage. I think this is a great reprieve and opportunity for him. Clearly, he's still out there doing main roster matches and out there on the main roster, but he's allowed to come back here. And this is, we've had a few talks. And again, I want him to be able to take the time to work on some of those things that he feels like he needs to work on, or again, to try things that, again, I want him to have a little bit, perhaps more freedom down here and maybe a little looser structure if you'd like to try stuff and see how it works, and also find out, who Dom Mysterio is going to be separated from his father. You know what I mean? So again, I've talked with him a great deal just about coming down here and trying to work on anything that he feels like he needs to work on, anything that we see that he needs to work on. Because honestly, that's what all of us do. We just, we never talked about it as much, and there wasn't that much, information back when I was doing it as there is today. But all of us, every time we're out there in the ring, we all talk about reps, reps, reps. We all got better with people that we were in the ring with that were better than us. And this business is always evolving. You're always wanting to grow as a performer. So again, I have to be honest. It was the same way for us. I took advantage of every live event that I could be on that wasn't televised, because I knew that's where I could try something new and see if it was going to work, and see if it was ready for television. So we want Dom to come down here, take advantage of those opportunities as well. And again, I think he's doing a great job of that. He's a very he's a very mature and respectful and professional young man for at such an early age. Ray and his wife has just done a fabulous job. He understands, respects his business. He's a very mature young man. He's had a lot thrown on him, but I think he's done a fantastic job thus far.
Thanks for your time, Shawn. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Our next question comes from Matthew Aguilar. Matthew.
Hi, Shawn. Thanks so much for taking the time. One of the things I've enjoyed is seeing a consistent highlight has been Tony DAngelo and the family on NXT, and we're just about to see them maybe get some title gold at Great American Bash. What have you thought of the whole unfurling Free Tony D and the saga, how all that came together? And also, I love that we're actually seeing more people with them, because it makes them feel like a legit organization and that there's like more than two people. What kind of led to that idea, and what have you thought of for all of them?
Well, look, so first of all, clearly I'm a fan of it, because it doesn't make air if I'm not a fan of it. But no, look, my head writer's laughing over here. No, but so look, I do. I love it, and that's what I love about NXT. I mean, I feel like we're a real variety show. We have a little bit of everything. And I think Tony D and the family saga has been fantastic. Clearly was very much behind the Free Tony D run. Again, look, it's only in our line of work. I mean, can a man's freedom lie in the hands, of a wrestling match on NXT? I love that world. Yes, we suspend belief. And again, I love that we do that. I think they've done a fantastic job. I think, look, I'll say this, if for some reason Tony DAngelo, didn't want to stay here in NXT or in the WWE as a whole, I think he's got another career out there, certainly as as an actor, certainly for mafia movies, if nothing else. He's done just a fantastic job. And look, I'm excited for them on this weekend with Great American Bash, because as you see, or as you said, first chance of gold, you know what I mean? And that would be quite an accomplishment for them. Again, I'm very much a supporter of theirs. I like the stuff that we have done with them. I think that it is different. I think you can go all the way back to, Santos and some of the other, stories before that. I think it's been epic, all of them, you know what I mean? And obviously we'll see if it culminates in tag team gold this weekend.
Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Our next question comes from Stephanie Hypes. Stephanie.
Yes. Thank you, Shawn, so much for doing this and taking the time. I just wanted to ask, you guys have such a robust women's roster down there in NXT, and you've done such a great job at doing that non-title and title feuds. Obviously, with the tag titles now unified on main roster, is there any idea or plans to introduce a mid-card women's title for NXT?
No, that's a question that, again, I got, on the last media call. And I guess to my, look, I think that's always an option. But I always think to myself, other than a tag team title, what would that be? I think that's always the first one for me. I wonder if a cruiserweight from a women's division would work. But I'll say this, I'm always open to those options. But I think you're going to see this weekend, we're going to have an NXT championship match, but we're also going to have another women's match with Roxanne Perez and Blair Davenport in a Weapons Wild match. So our ladies, as you mentioned, we have such a deep roster. I guess I just don't ever worry about getting them a lot of airtime, because we are always going to be able to get our ladies numerous matches on our show. Again, we get such a kick out of writing and booking our women's division, because it is just, the landscape is huge for us. So even when there isn't a women's title on the line, we have so many other women's storylines that we're so very proud of. So again, I think we do a great job. I would obviously put our women's division, as I always say, up against anyone's any day of the week. Our ladies are phenomenal, top to bottom, and whether we have 1, 2, or 10 championships for our women, you are going to see our women just littered throughout our show, because it is such a deep division.
Our next question comes from Joel Torres. Joel.
Hey, Shawn, how are you? Joel Torres here from Contralona.
Doing well.
So we have seen main roster superstars being on the NXT programming, like Baron Corbin, like Dana Brooke, Dominic, who you speak a few moments ago. How do you think this has helped not only the NXT programming on TV ratings, but also the talent development, but also them as well when they go back to the main roster, either Raw or SmackDown?
I think they get reinvigorated. In a small answer, I think it reignites their passion again and reminds them why they got into this. When they come back down here, it's a fantastic environment. It re-encourages them. I think they get rejuvenated, and then when they go back onto the main roster, they're ready to go. And look, and the fans and the company are getting a superstar that is once again ready to go, believing, in who he is and what he's about to do. And again, I was always very fortunate. I loved going out there and performing. And when it came even close to the time that I thought like maybe it wasn't there, I stepped away. But some people just have to step away for a little while, fall back in love with this. And certainly people do that when they come down here to NXT.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Shawn.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next question comes from John Alba.
Hey, Shawn. Hope everything's going well with you. Appreciate your time today. You in the past have mentioned that you've had a great relationship with Carmelo Hayes. We've seen how that has been put forth on television based on where he's positioned, and you've had extremely high praise for his potential. In recent months, we've seen him featured on WWE main roster programming quite a bit. And I would love to know what has been the reception to him at that level from Vince McMahon, from Paul Levesque, and how he's done so far on the main roster in those respective showcases.
Yeah, everything to my understanding has been all very positive. Look, I don't think there's anybody that has too many questions on Carmelo. I think like a lot of people here, it's just a matter of time. I don't think it's a question of ability. It's about being ready, and I don't know, being a full, well-rounded WWE superstar. And so I think that's all positive from his standpoint. Look, I will say this, and I don't ever mean it to be misconstrued as anything negative. I think the only thing that oftentimes gets some of these young men and women a little rattled, again, is hearing so much about those call-ups, or that, again, how they maybe should be or they shouldn't be, or, so I think that's all it is. They enjoy their time here. He is the NXT champion. I don't know that you can be in a much better spot again, professionally here in NXT. So he's obviously very excited for when that day ever comes. But I will say, especially over the last several months, we've had a lot of really good talks about making sure you don't get ahead of yourself, and understanding that the best thing any performer can do is understand that the next match that he has is the most important, and you're only as good as your last one. And so it's trying to help him just deal with a lot of the pressure and a lot of the expectations of not just, the guy that, has potential to be called up, but also being the NXT champion. He's also the guy that everybody's going to look at whether that, whether Great American Bash does well, right? He's the flag bearer now, so a lot of pressure comes with that. So it's helping him understand that as well, and just understanding it's much easier to do this stuff if you'll just take it one match, one TV, one PLE at a time.
Our next question comes from Graham Romina. Graham?
Hey, Shawn, thanks for taking the time. Kind of lost in the Great American Bash conversation is that we're getting the in-ring debut on Sunday of Gable Stevenson, who's been with NXT for obviously quite a while now. Match just made official on Tuesday. Feels a little abrupt. I know we saw him a couple of weeks ago at the end of NXT Underground helping out Eddie Thorpe. Just talk about his development, this match coming together, if there were a change of plans there, and just kind of Gable Stevenson in general.
No, so look, I will say this. As to your point, he has been here in the WWE for a while. He has been down here training for a bit. I will be straightforward, honest, and and again, like always, I never know if I'm supposed to say stuff or not. But he had been here, and I wanted to know, hey, I want to do something with this guy. Can we, I want to get him into the mix. Can I do that? Again, because there are sometimes some people fall under different genres, different rules. I don't ask a lot of questions, to be perfectly honest, but he is someone that I felt like if we're going to do something with it, let's do it. I think perhaps it was maybe something that, I don't know, just sort of slid off someone's desk. So I brought it up, and I got the go ahead. So to your point, maybe a little bit abrupt, but I wanted to throw him into the deep end and let's see how this is going to go. There's only one way, as I spoke to earlier, that people learn how to do this stuff, and that's by getting in the ring and doing it night after night, week after week, month after month. And I think he has, obviously he's an incredibly intelligent, talented young man. So let's start getting him to work. He is, again, he's another guy, look, following in the footsteps of somebody like a Kurt Angle. Man, I'd want to get out there right away and start seeing, I can become as good as, Kurt was, or perhaps surpass him. So I got to be honest, that was just a trigger that I wanted to know if I could pull, and I got the green light, so we're doing it. And again, we're very excited about what he, can bring to the table here in NXT. He's going to be out there, with a veteran in Baron Corbin. Baron absolutely is not going to make it easy on him. He is literally a shark who smells blood, like he said this last Tuesday. But Gable, I think, he's had a lot of big moments. So I don't think the moment is going to be bigger than him. But we will see how he adjusts, because this isn't, this isn't what he's done before. But he doesn't seem to be intimidated by the challenge.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Our next question comes from Nick Hausman. Nick?
Hey, Shawn, thanks so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I wanted to I had the chance to talk to Mr. Stone this past week, and he mentioned to me how he's the longest tenured main roster NXT member at 4 years right now. He's also lone manager over there. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on his long tenure, how long you see him there, and just kind of where you see managers fitting in the landscape of WWE at the moment.
Well, I guess I'll answer your last question first. I think that's always a question of where managers sort of lie. I will say that, certainly myself, and I know Hunter as well, we always enjoy that aspect. That was, I don't know, it was one of those things that we grew up as wrestling fans, managers. We're such a staple within the industry itself. And so I will say Robert Stone, he's always been kind of a favorite of both Hunter and mine. From the very beginning, we've always liked him. To me, Robert Stone, he's just so versatile. There's so many things that he brings to the table. So for me personally, I see him here for as long as he's willing to stay. And again, as long as we're allowed to have him, we keep him, because he's just, if you need him to get in the ring, he can do it. If you need him to be amusing, or get his, backside handed to him, he can do that, but he can be serious. He's very, very versatile. I think, it's something that way back, when he first came in, Hunter mentioned, I see him, he could be like, he reminds me of like a Bobby Heenan. He can do so many different things. And I know, look, that's a tall order. Bobby Heenan, I think we all would agree, is the greatest manager of all time, right? But it's because Bobby could just do anything, he really was. He was somebody that could just transition into anything you asked him to. And Robert's the same way. So again, when you have that much going for you, to me, I just feel like he's somebody that I would always like to have around, because you never know. He's like one of those guys, in case of emergency, you can break glass, and he's the guy that can fill it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Our next question comes from TK Trinidad. TK.
Going back to women's wrestling talk here. What was the deciding factor in wanting a weapons wild match between Roxanne and Blair?
Well, I think that's kind of just where the storyline dictated itself going. And certainly I will say, when it comes to the Great American Bash and being in Texas, how do I not have our Texas girl on that show, for heaven's sakes? I know Austin's a little bit of a haul for her family from Laredo, but I know that they're all going to be, jumping in the car, coming up there and being a part of that. So look, once again, our women's division is so strong. We felt like that was a storyline that was worthy of being on a premium live event. Again, it's I think both Blair and Roxanne, extremely talented ladies, both in very different ways. I think they also bring, again, sort of, diametrically opposed characters, and also kind of styles, so to speak. So one, it was just an interesting matchup. And I felt like certainly we as a creative team felt from a show wise and a storyline that was worthy of being on this premium live event. And certainly her being from the state of Texas didn't hurt things either. And also I would like to say that, again, I know I harp on our women's, division, but again, it's so strong, it's so deep. And I think those are ways, if nothing else, I don't want to say rewarding that, but again, I think you have to. Again, it's just something that, our ladies are so vital to our show. And again, I don't want to have premium live events, our biggest shows, without, giving our ladies the proper recognition that division deserves. And hopefully, I hope that's what we're doing, and that's what we're showing everybody. Ma'am, thank you.
Our next question comes from Christian Bruns. Christian.
Yes. Hi, Shawn. How are you doing today?
Doing well.
So we haven't talked about Illy Dragunov challenging for the NXT title this weekend. It hasn't been that long that he moved from Germany to the US full time, adapting to his new personal situation, and is getting started in NXT. And what can you tell us about the process and putting him already in a spot where he's challenging now for the NXT championship?
Well, Illy is, again, the big reason we wanted to have him over here. Just nothing that man can't do. There just isn't anything that young man can't do. He brings what you see on television is who he is. And he brings that absolutely every time he goes out there. And Look, I think that is so great. Again, Illy's not even, I don't know. He's a veteran, but I wouldn't consider him, an older guy by any stretch. He is still a young man. But he brings such a passion, such intensity, such professionalism to our locker room. And he is a man that leads by example. And people, you can watch him just kind of rehearse and train, practice, whatever it is. He brings 100% to everything he does. And that is such a stellar example to have in our locker room. So aside from what he does for us professionally on screen, Illy Dragunov, the young man, brings so much to this performance center. And again, I can't speak enough to what he gives us each and every time he goes out there. There are times that I have to, refrain myself from, sort of getting on him. I worry about him so much, because I want him to have something, to be able to bring the main roster when he has his future. And there are times every now and then I can say, like, hey, you don't have to go as hard. This is, he doesn't know any other speed than 100%. And I understand that and I appreciate that. So I guess, I think the world of him. In a nutshell, I think the world of him. We're so happy to have him here. Everybody is going to absolutely, I think they already know, but any viewer that watches Ilya Dragunov knows that he brings everything, to his performances. And this Sunday at Great American Bash, he's going to do the same thing. And I'm very interested to see if our champion, and I mean this sincerely, I want to see if our champion, he says he has passion, he has grit. I want to see if Carmelo Hayes has it, really has it, because Ilya Dragunov is going to drag it out of him, whether he likes it or not.
Thanks so much.
You bet.
And our final question comes from Adam Silverstein. Adam.
Hey, Shawn, thanks for taking the time here. A few months now working in NXT. How would you evaluate the job that Dragon Lee has done and the progress he's made picking up what's expected of him in WWE?
Transition really well. Again, he's another one. I think that I'll say this, had kind of, had some real name value coming in the door. Could have, I don't know, I think maybe carried himself differently if he so chose, and he did not. He wanted every challenge that we could give him, put before him, wanted no special treatment, was really, I don't know, has done everything from from English classes to wanting to do, promos in the best way that he possibly could. I so appreciate, again, him coming in here and really taking advantage of everything the Performance Center and that NXT has. So I will say, speaks volumes to his professionalism. And again, once again, his passion and his desire to move on and to have great success here in the WWE as a whole, because he's somebody, again, that, comes in with some name value, some name recognition, and just couldn't have been, more pliable and more of a joy to work with. And again, as someone that is taking advantage of all of the assets that we have here in NXT and has been doing a fantastic job. And obviously, excited to having him, not just on this premium live event, but also watching him grow in the very near future, because we've got some big and exciting things for him that I think everybody's going to be thrilled to see.
Thank you all for joining. We'll end with final comments from Shawn. Shawn?
Well, again, I just want to thank you all. You all always help us out so much in getting the word out there about our premium live events. Obviously excited about the card this weekend. It's going to be a fantastic show. Looking forward to going back to the state of Texas for me. Don't forget about No Mercy on Saturday, September 30th in Bakersfield, California, going out west for NXT. Lots of travel, lots of exciting things in the future here for NXT. Looking forward to more main roster synergy and crossovers and some of our NXT stars appearing here and there on Raw and SmackDown. So I will say this, NXT and the WWE as a whole, we've got real momentum right now. We're excited about the future. I know Hunter, myself, the entire team here in NXT, we are all jazzed and giddy about the future. And I think ratings across the board for every show in the WWE shows that. Can't thank the WWE Universe for supporting us enough. And again, thank you so much for helping us out. And look out for some very, very exciting things coming down the pipe just for the WWE as a whole in the very near future. Thank y'all.